can use their examples. And
Cast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. This is Joel Friedlander, and yes, you're not crazy. It is not 1 o'clock. We're early. Just wanted to come on and say hello. I realized a lot of people were getting into the webinar early. So we're going to have a great session today. Joan's standing by. I'll introduce you to her in a few minutes. But in the meantime, I just want to say hello and find out where people are calling in from, because that's always interesting to see where you are. So you can use the question box over on the right and let us know where you're calling in from. Kristen, that was amazingly fast. You people in Chattanooga must be pretty fast. And fantastic. Denver, California, New York City. And I see some people I know on the list, so hello.
oh, Germany, Colombia,
Everybody I know, yeah, Germany. Toronto,
Guatemala. Wow.
not too far away. Sherm's in Guatemala. That kind of rhymes with Petaluma.
We have somebody from Iceland. Look at that.
Cool. All right, so I'm guessing everybody on this call is an author or an author wannabe. Either you've published a book or you've got a book that we call a work in progress. So I'd be very interested to know the extremely short version of what kind of writing you folks are doing. Are you writing fiction, nonfiction, genre stuff, vampire romance? I don't know what, I guess you could write a press release for a vampire romance, couldn't you, Joan?
Mm-hmm.
Nonfiction business. Hi, Judy. Judy's a friend calling in. YA urban fantasy. Somebody who's a specialist on metabolic problems. That's very interesting.
Of diets. The metabolic problem of diets. Boy, I could be a co-author with you on that one.
Yeah, well, that's good to have a very specific niche, don't you think,
Yeah,
Joan?
yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
it really works better.
absolutely. Yeah. It's so much easier to find your target market when you've got a niche.
Yeah, lots of nonfiction authors. Yay, I love nonfiction authors. I love fiction authors too, but I just don't write fiction. So how do you get a salary raise without asking for it? That sounds like a popular topic, Sherry. Romance. I can't even pronounce that, Margaret. Neoscience? Neuroscience? It's a new one on me. Poetry, health. Here's somebody who writes with her husband. Write urban fantasies. Yeah, I've always admired people who could write books with a partner. I'm just not sure how I could do that. I just published a book last year with a co-author, but it really was more of a directory than a lot of writing. I'm just not sure how. I have a friend who's writing a novel with 2 other people, and I still haven't figured out how they do that. Autobiographical novel. Henry's writing about spirituality. Hey, well, listen, you know, this is going to be really valuable for all you people out there, because I can tell that people have specialties, niches, passions, interests, expertise. And, you know, the whole idea of this, and the reason we're doing it, obviously, is to try and help authors get the attention their books deserve, but which frequently they don't get because they just don't have an effective way of communicating with a lot of people. And that's challenging for any author. I mean, how are you going to find a big, huge audience like thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people? And, you know, I think one of the best ways to do that is by hooking up with the people who already have that audience. That's what we call the media, right?
Absolutely.
That's why we got Joan here. She's the expert.
I'll tell you, Joel, I have to second your comment about being delighted to see how many authors on this list are very specific about what they're writing about. And I would encourage all of you to continue to be very specific about what you're writing. Because once you are very specific, you can then go after those very specific audiences, and your job marketing that book becomes a whole lot easier than the authors who tell Joel and I want everybody to read my book. Right,
Oh,
Joel?
yeah. The Kiss of Death. Yeah. Well, who is your book for? Well, I think everybody in America should read it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that doesn't help. But, I think speaking as somebody who did specialize very much when I started doing this kind of marketing, because I write about book design, self-publishing. It's kind of a niche topic, there's only a certain number of people interested, but it makes writing, it makes making an impact and getting known in your niche, makes that easier. It makes it easier to do SEO, search engine optimization. It makes it easier to find your readers, your potential audience. So really honing down and getting very specific about what niche or what target market, whatever, however you want to call it, exactly the people you're writing for, who could best benefit from what you're writing. That is like that's half the battle, Joan. That's the way I see it.
Joel, look at Laura's comment. She writes nonfiction about childhood cancer parenting. It's called Two Mothers, One Prayer, Facing Your Child's Cancer with Hope, Strength, and Courage. Really super, super specific. And it would be fairly easy to find, I mean, just through search engine optimization, just through by plugging keywords into Google for childhood cancer, or cancer parenting, or parenting children with cancer. You can just really find those people in an instant.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And just think of how excited and happy those people would be to find somebody writing specifically for them.
Mm-hmm.
I can't underline that enough because, even in a small niche, you're going to be able to be very successful because if you address the needs of the audience, they are just going to be really become very enthusiastic fans of yours and, may follow you for years.
Yep.
I actually had a talk with somebody like that in my audience, Joan, over the weekend. Actually, it was on Friday. And she told me, she said, I bought everything that you've produced because you just speak exactly to what I'm trying to do. I was kind of blown away by that, Joan, but I was also very grateful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
It's 1 o'clock, so I think that we should start getting serious here. And I'm going to hit my record button, Joan, and then I'm going to do a little short intro for you.
Okay, I shall hit record as well.
Okay, this is Joel Friedlander from thebookdesigner.com and bookdesigntemplates.com. And this is a webinar on the Indie Author's Guide to Creating a Killer Media Kit. We're going to go through and show you exactly why, as an indie author, you really want to have a media kit and a good one, and exactly what to do with it. Joining me today for today's presentation is Joan Stewart. Now, Joan is an expert on dealing with the media. She has a tremendous amount of experience. She was a newspaper editor for many years, and that means she was on the receiving end of lots of authors pitching her for space in her newspaper. So she knows exactly what editors are looking for. And Joan is the author of the Quick and Easy Media Kit Templates for Indie Authors. And Joan is now a very successful and popular blogger. She blogs on her PR and publicity website, thepublicityhound.com. And she has a large and loyal following, and Joan gives a fantastic presentation. So please help me in welcoming Joan Stewart. And Joan, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, Joel, thank you very much. And I should add, for people who came in on my list, if you don't know Joel Friedlander, you need to go over to his blog. Is it thebookdesigner.com? Is that it, Joel? I believe it's thebookdesigner.com. I just do a search for
thebookdesigner.com. Absolutely.
Bookdesigner.com. Joel is one of the most prolific bloggers I know, and he has a gargantuan following, and his blog, you absolutely cannot miss it one day if you're either writing a book or you have written a book out there on the market. I'm thrilled you're all here. I've got a lot of content, and I don't like to do a lot of fluffy intro, so I'm going to just dive right in, and I want to talk about what it is that we are going to cover today. I can get my slides started. Just bear with me 1 second here. My slides are frozen. Just bear with me a minute here. Joel, do you know how to get the slides unfrozen?
That's okay, Joan. It's just no, you could probably just, restart PowerPoint and it'll probably come right up unless you want me to load mine.
No, that's all right. Let me, sorry everybody, this happens occasionally. I can't even, this is very weird. This is the first time this has ever happened in all the times that I've been doing webinars. And
Joan and I do a lot of webinars together, and these slides usually just fly by beautifully. So
do I have the keyboard and mouse?
I think you do.
I think I do too. This is weird.
Organizers, and yeah, you've got control, John.
I've got control.
You can either restart your PowerPoint or I can load my slides. It's up to you.
Okay, I can't even, I'm going to reload it.
Good idea.
Just bear with me one moment here, folks. Joel, you want to tell everybody what you've been writing about at your blog while I get my act together here?
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about that article. I've been writing a lot about how blogging really can help nonfiction authors. Now, I know there's a lot of fiction authors on the call today, but, I don't write fiction. Sometime I'd like to try writing fiction, but my head is so deep in the nonfiction space as kind of as an instructor that I just keep going along that way. And today I was writing about on my blog about the awesome benefits that you can get as an author from running a blog. And I'm going to be writing about that more. And you'll hear more from me during the week about that. Joan, are you ready to
Yes, I am. Thank you so much for suggesting I start all over again. Often rebooting your computer sometimes is a good trick too, if you can't get something to work for you. So anyway, here we are. I'm glad you're here. Let's talk about what we're going to cover today. I'll explain why a media kit is so important to your book marketing campaign. I'll explain the 7 major audiences that will read it. I'll tell you how to use it and how not to use it, and I can assure you I've been on the receiving end of a lot of authors who don't know how to use media kits. There are 10 very important things that you should include, and I'm going to go through them one by one, step by step, so you don't miss anything. Joel and I are then going to show you how we can save you time, money, and stress creating it. So, why is a media kit so important? Several reasons. First of all, it's your major marketing package for your book. Pretty much everything you need to market it is within your media kit. Anybody can access it, and that's because after you've created it, you have made it available at your website, either under a navigational button called Media Kit, or some of you have an overall website with a book page, and people can come to that book page and then access the Media Kit right from that page. Any journalist who is interested in writing a story about you or covering your book will want to see the Media Kit. And it ensures accuracy in news stories, because one of the things that is so important about helping the media is giving them things that they can just cut and paste without having to sit and do rewrites of material or start from scratch. It's going to save them an enormous amount of time. It also helps people promote you and your book. And some of these people are people who you may have as friends, followers, and fans on the various social media sites. If they like what you've written, if they're wild about your topic, they will love to let others who are interested in your book know about it. So you have to keep them in mind as well. Free publicity beats paid ads almost every time. And there's a very popular author, although he's not really known for being an author. He's known for being several other things more than an author. And Joel actually found this quote this week and showed it to me, and we both agreed that it would be wonderful for this presentation. And the author we'd like to present to you is none other than Donald Trump. Now, I can hear some of you groaning, okay? I can hear some of you cheering. Regardless of whether you like him or hate him, you've got to agree the guy is a publicity hound. And this was a quote directly from his book, The Art of the Deal, on free publicity. Donald says, "If I take a full-page ad in the New York Times to publicize a project, it might cost $40,000. And in any case, people tend to be skeptical about advertising. But if the New York Times writes even a moderately positive one-column story about one of my deals, it doesn't cost me anything, and it's worth a lot more than $40,000. What he's saying in this quote is that when you get media publicity, and it doesn't even have to be from a giant newspaper like the New York Times, it's almost as though the media outlet is giving you its stamp of approval. So that's why you want to use a media kit with journalists and give them everything they need within it, because you want the free publicity. Hey, if you don't want the free publicity, go buy an ad. But I almost never buy ads. I think there is so much more to be gained by getting them to write about you instead of you giving them your money. Let's talk about the 7 audiences for your media kit. We talked about journalists. There are also going to be bloggers who you're going to be pitching either to write about you, or bloggers who find you because they want to blog about a particular topic and they're plugging in keywords and keyword phrases into the Google search engines and they find you. You also may want to pitch bloggers to write a guest blog post. Book reviewers will use your media kit. So will retailers, especially if you want to get into big bookstores. Individual buyers. There are a lot of people out there who are not going to be willing to fork over $25 for a book unless they do some research about exactly what that book's about, and they might want to know a little bit more about the author before they give Amazon a credit card number. Also, event planners. I certainly hope that if you are trying to sell a book, that one of the ways that you're planning to do it is by getting out there on the speaking circuit. This is a fabulous way not only to sell books, but to capture people's email addresses while you're out there speaking and to maybe give away a book or something else as a prize at the end, and then start to build an email list. And event planners will be looking for something specific within your media kit, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. Anyone who wants to promote you and your book. And this list, by the way, is not all inclusive, and you might be very surprised at some point to find somebody who wants information on your book that isn't on this list that maybe you have never thought of. Regardless of who it is, you have one main goal with your author media kit, and your main goal with the kit is to make their job easy. You have to hand everything to them on a silver platter so they can have all this information available at their fingertips in an easy to digest format so they can do whatever it is they want to do to let their audiences know about you and your book. And a lot of people think that that's really not what media kits are for. And I see so in my days as a journalist and today in my days as a blogger and a publicity expert, I see so many people using media kits to scream, buy my book. Now, is anybody sick to death of seeing buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book? We see it in social media. We see it in emails that come through to us. There's always an author out there hawking their book. And this is really not the way to do it. So before I tell you exactly what's inside your author media kit, I want to go through the correct ways to use it and how you don't use it. So let's talk about what it is and what it isn't. A media kit for your book is branded hype-free marketing materials. It is not a free ad. It is collateral material for journalists. It is not a carrot that you dangle in front of them instead of pitching them a customized story idea about your expertise or about your book. What I mean by this is the way to get really good publicity is to do your research on the journalists who you want to cover you and come up with a story idea that's a perfect fit for their publication or their radio show or TV show, and you give them a customized pitch, and then you can link to the media kit, and if they then decide that they really like the pitch and they want to cover you, you can then let them know about all the materials that are in the kit that are going to make their job easy. A media kit is something that is offered. It is never sent unsolicited. Back 20 years ago when I was in the newspaper business, there were a lot of companies that would hire these big expensive PR firms to create these big expensive media kits, and they'd send them to us overnight via FedEx, and they were really heavy. Some of them were 2 pounds, and they'd land with a thud on my desk, and they were from companies on the other side of the country, and I worked for local newspapers. We didn't care for companies that weren't local. We didn't cover those companies. So a lot of times those media kits went right into the wastebasket unopened because we just weren't interested in covering them, and that's a lot of money down the drain. So you always offer your kit. You never send it via email, say as an attachment to somebody who doesn't know it's coming. It's always a work in progress. It's not something that you create once and then forget about it. You will always come back later on and update it. You never just set it and forget it. As you start to get better book reviews, for example, the longer your book has been out, you're going to use some of the better book reviews in your media kit. You may want to update your author bio instead of using, the same one that you've always been using. As you win book awards, as you get great speaking engagements, as wonderful things happen to you on your book journey. When you start a blog, for example, that author bio needs to be updated. So what am I talking about with the author bio? What's that all about? Well, let's take a peek inside the Ideal Media Kit. The author bios, notice it's plural, not singular, happens to be item number 1 inside your media kit. Your author bios should be written like a news story, the same way a reporter would write it if they were writing about you. That's why it needs to be hype-free. Don't just use your bio to inform. Have fun. Make it lively. There's so many author bios that are just duller than dishwater. They're awful. And you can use your bio to really have fun and let the person reading it know that you sound like an interesting person and you'd make a great radio interview and that you're really going to be fun and interesting to interview. Your bios need to be written in different lengths because remember what I said, your job is to make their job easy. So let's look at the the 4 different size bios that you're going to have. And this is not as hard as it sounds once you see where I'm going with this, okay? So the first bio you want to write, and this all goes in your media kit, is a 2-line bio of 140 characters. Can anybody guess what this 2-line bio might be used for? Take a guess and put it in the Q&A box. And I actually can't see the Q&A box, and I don't want to go looking for it because I don't want my PowerPoint presentation to freeze up again on me. But I'm guessing that a lot of
everybody, you get about 200 people saying Twitter.
There you go. Okay.
And here, a couple of people said the bottom of an editorial.
Not really. If you put Twitter, that's the right guess. The bottom of an editorial is the next one, okay? This is a short bio. This is about approximately 50 words, and this is the bio that's going to go at the end of an article you're writing, perhaps for somebody else's blog, or some of these publications are really strict. You've got to have a super short bio. So you want one that's 50 words. Other publications aren't as strict, and they will let you write 100 words. So in that case, you want to write a medium bio of 100 words, and you're going to offer these in these various lengths so they can pick whichever one they need. Finally, you're going to write a long bio of from 400 to 600 words. I have a long bio at my website. I want to guess it's between 400 and 500 words, and I have all these little pieces of trivia in it, and I love roller coasters, and I love popcorn, and I love Joni Mitchell, and occasionally people who I don't know will email me and say, oh, I love popcorn too, and I love wooden roller coasters, and I'm wondering, how do they know that? Oh, they were at my website. They saw my author bio. And these little tidbits in these longer bios can really help tell a story about you. You can use these long bios to actually tell your story because you got a lot of words to work with, okay? And the nice thing about, why not just offer a 400-word bio and be done with it, or a 600-word bio and be done with it? And if they want 50 words, let them go pluck out 50 words. I'll tell you why that's a bad idea. People who are on deadline, not just journalists, but bloggers and anybody else who's writing about you, they will get it screwed up and they will get a fact wrong. And you don't want wrong information anywhere about you. So if you give them what they need in the length that they need it, you're going to go a long way toward ensuring accuracy in whatever people write about you. Okay, so those are the 4 sizes of bios. There are 2 little extras that I want to see you include. The first one is your speaker introduction of between 250 and 300 words, and this would be your introduction for public speaking engagements. You could give it to the local libraries if you're going to do author events. You can give it to the bookstore owner if you're going to do a book signing in a local bookstore, and you might have a couple of different speaker introductions depending on what they're being used for. Word of caution, never let the event planner write your introduction for you. That is an invitation to, it's a bad way to get the event off rolling. Take my word for it. I have sometimes forgotten to give them my intro, and they have tried to wing it, and they've gotten it all screwed up. And it's just a bad way. It's a bad way to start a great presentation. But if you have it in your media kit ready for them to read verbatim, you're going to be doing okay. The second thing I'd like you to include are 5 fun facts you didn't know about me. Give you an example. One of the 5 fun facts you don't know about me is that I rode in a sleigh pulled by reindeer above the Arctic Circle when I visited Finland. Joe, tell us about a fun fact about you.
Okay, how about this one, Joan? As a child, I appeared on television on the Howdy Doody show.
You didn't.
Yeah, with Clarabelle and the whole gang. Yeah, I guess that probably dates me a little bit because, most of the audience is now saying, what show? The Howdy Doody
Exactly.
Show.
One of my other fun facts is that I know all the words to Talent Roundup Day on the Mickey Mouse Club, which was on Friday. I sing the song, actually sing the song when I go to live events. And it's a hoot. And if you're nowhere near my age, they're probably wondering too, what's this Mickey Mouse thing? What is she talking about? But if you're a baby boomer, you know exactly what I mean. These little fun facts make people feel as though they know you. And if I were a journalist writing a story about Joel, I would ask him to tell me about his little gig on TV. I think that's fascinating. As a matter of fact, this is the first time I ever knew that he was on TV. And these are, again, they're fun little facts that make people feel as though they know you. So include these in your media kit. We had an author on one of these calls who said she wrote a book about bullying because she was bullied in school. Is that a fun fact? And I said no, because there's nothing fun about bullying, so make them really fun. And if you can't think of one, talk to your spouse, talk to a significant other, talk to your best friend, and ask them to tell you a fun fact about yourself. Because you may not be able to think of one, but I guarantee you, everybody's got fun facts about themselves. Okay, the number 2 item in your release is a press release for either fiction or nonfiction. Your press release will include a headline of up to about 20 words, and that's significantly longer than the headlines you'll find in most newspapers and magazines. It will include a little subhead that can be even longer. It will include what we call the date line, and it's right at the beginning of the first paragraph. It's the city and state that the press release was written in and the date that it was written. The date is really important because people need to have perspective when they're reading it. If it just said you launched your book last week, they're going to want to know if last week was in 2007 or if it's in 2015. There's also an author quote, and there's a right way and a wrong way to do the author quotes. There is an about the author section in your press release. It's right down at the bottom. There's an about the book section for people who just want a real quick little thumbnail sketch about what your book's about. You want to also tell people where they can get review copies and where the media can interview you. Who do they call? Do you even do media interviews? I certainly hope you do. You need to let people know that right in the press release. And it also needs to have your contact information, and I'm going to talk about this a little further as we get further into the kit. But I want to talk about the first type of a press release. This is for you fiction writers, and these can be difficult to write. So I suggest you concentrate on your key character. Try writing a press release where you introduce your key character in the first paragraph. You also might want to talk about what the emotional angle is to your book, because that's why a lot of people read fiction. They want to they want to tap into the emotions within them, whether it's a romance novel or it's a sad book or whatever. Also, state right in the press release who the ideal target market is for your book. Okay, I want to give you an example of a fiction press release. This is from Deb McLeod. She wrote a fiction book that is an angel thriller, and this was the press release that she wrote. And as you can see right up here, she's got the contact information, name, email, phone number, and her 2 websites right here in the upper left-hand corner. She's got her headline, the 2-line headline, and then she's got a fairly short subhead underneath it. The subhead doesn't have to be that short. Remember that both the headline and the subhead are a great place where you can insert keywords. Here's that date line I talked about right here. at the beginning of the first paragraph, city, state, date the release was written. And she talks about angels, okay? Right in the first paragraph. She doesn't announce the fact she's written a book. I'm going to tell you something. Most journalists don't care that you've written a book. And I know you may think that's cruel, but it's true. You need to write about what the target market is going to be interested in within that book. Okay. Then she comes down a little bit further and she gives her author quote right here. Then she gives the main information about the book. She gives you the name of it, the publishing company, how much it is. She gives the 2 websites where you can buy it. Notice this. She gives her telephone number. She gives her email address right on the first page. And she says pre-orders will be available in June of 2014. Then she talks a little bit about herself and she gives some background that tells you what makes her the expert in writing a book about angels. There's her about the author paragraph, okay? Then her all-important call to action right here. You always want a call to action in your press release. It says, meet the cast of the Julia set, read the first chapter, discover the world of angels, and read about metaphysics or creative writing at, and then she's got 2 websites. Okay? Notice she doesn't say, buy my book. She's offering to let you read the first chapter. That's her call to action. Then she's got these 3 little hashtags right here. That tells everybody that your press release is done, that you're effectively at the end of it. She's then got a couple of paragraphs about the author. Now, if anybody wanted to lift this out, just cut and paste this as a bio, they could do that as well. Look what she did. She repeats her websites down here. She repeats her telephone number, and then she gives again a very, very short little blurb about the book there. And then down here, she's got information on where to get review copies, and again, her telephone number and her email address. No doubt about where to find her. I can't tell you the number of press releases I read that I get across my desk that don't have a phone number or an email address. If you want me to write about you, you had better make it easy for me to cover you. Okay? So that's the press release for fiction writers. For nonfiction writers, your job is a little bit easier. I suggest you hone in on the problem and solution that your book offers. Most nonfiction books are solutions to a problem that exists within a specific target market, and that's the best way to start your release. I also recommend that you excerpt from 3 to 7 tips from your book, and that you also explain exactly who the target market is for your book. So let's take a look at an example of a press release for a nonfiction book. This was written by Dr. Marlena Corcoran. She's one of my clients, and she wrote a book on how international students can get into top colleges in the United States. Okay, she got her contact information up here. She's got her headline right here, 2-line headline. She's got her subhead below it. She's got her dateline up here. Her first paragraph begins with a problem. Every year, perfectly talented and capable international students apply to U.S. colleges and shoot themselves in the foot. Okay? Then she talks about how the book is the answer to the problem. Okay? Notice she didn't say in the first paragraph that she wrote a book. She's leading with the problem. That's what's going to attract people's attention. Then she follows it with the author quote. Then she follows it with some information about herself. Then she offers 6 tips on how you and your teenager can stand out. And notice what she does here. She excerpts the tips in bold. This is great for scanners. These tips really stand out. Then she gives a little, very short 1 or 2 sentence explanation of what the tip is. Okay? Comes down here. Here are her 3 hashtags that end it. She's got a link to her website up here. Look at this. Here's her call to action for a free report on the 10 biggest mistakes international students make and weekly tips on how to compete for your place at an outstanding school. Visit her website. And then she's got a free offer over there because she wants your email address. Then she's got her about the author paragraphs, and then her very short paragraph about the book, and then she too gives her information about where to contact her if anybody wants review copies or media interviews. And notice this. What is that? That's an international phone number. Why? Because the book is for international students. So that makes perfect sense. Remember who you're writing for. So those are the press releases, okay? Let's go on to the third element in your media kit. It's called a book synopsis, and it's probably the most important information about your book on only one sheet of paper. It is great for scanners because some of the people going into your media kit, they're not going to take the time to read those 2 press releases I just showed you. Those releases are too long. They don't have time. They want all the pertinent information on one sheet. So they're going to be looking for the book synopsis. You can also write your synopsis in 4 different lengths if you wish. You can write a short, medium, and a longer one. Include 5 points of interest, and a point of interest is something about the content of the book. Okay, a point of interest might be for a Civil War romance novel that it takes place in Savannah, for example, or another point of interest might be that the book has an interesting foreword by somebody big in the community of your target audience. Okay, if you really nailed it to get somebody like a celebrity to write your foreword, that would be a really nice point of interest to include. Also, any other book details and purchasing information. Where do people buy it? That's really important. Number 4 is your sample chapter. This is important for people, for the tire kickers. They want to sort of test it first before they buy. I want to test candy when I go have a candy shop in my town, and I want little samples before I buy. And that's no different from some of your readers. Your sample chapter should include your cover image, your title, the sample chapter, and it's usually a good idea to just give them the first one because then they're going to be inclined to continue reading, and to do that, they're going to buy your book. Show them what the table of contents looks like so they can see what's coming up. This is something that's enticing. Link to your Amazon reviews. Even if you only have a couple of them, I would link anyway. This plants a seed in the mind of the reader that if they buy your book, they can go over to Amazon and review it. Also, include in the sample chapter the various where to buy links. Remember, not everybody buys on Amazon. Okay, some people would rather buy on a variety of other, like Barnes & Noble, or some people, they want to buy at their local bookstore, or they want to buy at any indie bookstore because they support indie authors, and that's you. So include as many links as you can on the various places where your book is available. So that's the sample chapter. Number 5, sample interview questions. That guy you see on the right in the light blue shirt, he's a radio talk show host, and he's interviewing the gentleman on the left. And I can virtually assure you that that radio talk show host did not read that guy's book. They don't have the time. And again, a lot of authors think this is really cruel to go on the show of somebody who's not read your book. I only know of 2 radio talk show hosts who read the books of authors before they're interviewed. So if you're doing a broadcast interview for TV or radio, broadcasters want sample interview questions. And the great thing about including these in a media kit is what do you think the big advantages of including this in your media kit? Any guesses? Joel, is anybody guessing correctly what the big advantage of putting sample interview questions inside your media kit is? Anybody want to guess?
Some people are saying because you know the answers, you know what's coming up, you'll get an interview, you already know what the answers are going to be,
Yes.
stuff like that.
Yes, you're going to give them the questions you want them to ask you because you know the answers, and you have spent time crafting sound bites for some of those answers. Okay, and broadcasters love these sample interview questions. Print media, not so much. Some of them might be a little bit insulted if you offered them sample interview questions, so keep this for the benefit of the broadcasters. And sometimes, if any of you do webinars where you are going to come on as a guest expert and somebody's going to interview you as an expert in their teleseminar or webinar, they might ask for sample interview questions too. So these are nice to tuck into your media kit just to have on hand in case somebody needs them. Okay? Item number 6, book review excerpts. Now, if your book is brand new, you're not going to have a lot of these. You might only have a couple, but this is one of those pages that gets updated. The more reviews and the better reviews you get, okay, this one up here that says I loved it, you may want to get rid of this one if you've got one that's much better down the road. So this page can constantly be updated, and don't always use the same 4 or 5 excerpts that you started out with. Call through all the excerpts from your book reviews and just pull out those golden nuggets that really would entice somebody to buy the book. Number 7, contact information. Oh, I can't underscore enough how important this is. I work with so many authors who tell me, I don't want to put my email address anywhere at my website. I don't want to put my phone number because I don't want calls at 3 a.m. I certainly don't want to give people my mobile number, and because I don't want my kids to be stalked. I don't want to be bothered. I'm here to tell you, if you don't give contact information where people can find you, they're not going to go hunting for it. It is so annoying not to be able to find an email address, an office phone number. I don't expect people to put their mobile numbers in, but if you want the media to text you when someone, a great source for an interview has fallen through and they need somebody to fill in ASAP, they're going to want to text you. So even though the mobile phone number doesn't have to be in your media kit, as you start to establish strong relationships with media people, you can give them your mobile number even though you may not want to make it public in your media kit. I don't have a problem with that at all. I also want to see your social media profiles. Where can people contact you on the social media sites? Okay, number 8, photos. You see here a very gorgeous book cover, and you see 2 environmental photos. This is Edward Vilga. He is a yoga instructor in New York City, and he wrote a fiction book called Downward Dog about a yoga instructor in New York City whose target market is the upper 1% of the people in New York. And because Joel is a book designer, I would like Joel, I'm going to pause here and ask Joel to come back on the line and give you his words of wisdom on the importance of book covers, especially for those of you who want to get into bookstores. Joel?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you go into a bookstore, I mean, 99.9% of all the books you're going to find in the bookstore are from traditional publishers. And what that means is they've got a staff of book publishing professionals working on these books. Now, that's good for the authors publishing there, but you have to realize that your book in the ideal condition is going to be competing head-to-head with those other books. So your book has to look just as professional and do its job just as well as those books from traditional publishers. And I think Edward Vilga's publisher did a great job here because his cover is very attractive. It's got very, he's used calming colors, which really goes with the yoga theme. He's got a very nice cityscape buried down the bottom there that kind of gives a hint of where the story is going to take place. And notice that little ideogram he's used instead of an A in the word downward. That's actually somebody in the downward dog yoga posture. So that was kind of cute. But altogether, it makes a very clean and clear communication of the kind of book you're going to get. And I think for that reason, it's a very successful cover.
Exactly, I agree. I just think it's mesmerizing. I actually read the book, and it's wonderful. And I wouldn't have read it had it not been for this cover. Yeah, I just think it's beautiful. Notice, too, that both of these photos, these are what I call environmental shots, and I would strongly encourage you to include a couple of these in your author media kit. Notice the one on the right, the black and white one, he's barefoot. Why do you think he's barefoot? Can anybody guess why he's barefoot? Now, you probably won't have an environmental
What are
shot.
people saying because everybody's saying because he's doing yoga. That's why he's barefoot.
Exactly, because it ties into the book. So why is his dog there? His dog is there because the dog is a very important part of his life, and look at the book title. Downward Dog. It's a perfect tie-in. People love dogs. Even if your book isn't about dogs, put an environmental photo of you and your pet in the book if you've got a pet. I just think that these photos really, really are great, and they are used frequently by the media, by bloggers who cannot come to your location and get a photo of you. Number 9, a cheat sheet or checklist. These can be used by either fiction or nonfiction authors. Magazines love these. Sometimes you'll see these little 3-inch little shorts, in the women's magazines like Cosmopolitan or something, and they won't even accompany a larger story. They'll just be 3 little tips, on how to apply false eyelashes or whatever. Editors love these because they fill small size holes on a page, and they may use your information as filler. 9 tips for finding the perfect pet. This could be written by a fiction author who has written a book that has a pet as the main character, or pets as an important part of the story. How to fix your printer, a 7-step cheat sheet. That could be written by a nonfiction author. And these are very simple. All you want is a headline, you want your tips, and you want the call to action, and that call to action will include a website where people can go to do whatever your call to action is. They can download a sample chapter, they can go over there and get a free download, they can maybe find another cheat sheet, they can see a video, whatever. These are real short, 1 page, that's it. Number 10, a speaker one-sheet. I talked about this. This is something that you will use for event and meeting planners who either want to hire you and to bring you in for a speaking engagement, or groups that you want to speak for free for, like maybe your local Rotary. They may want to have you in for a luncheon presentation, and if you have a couple different types of presentations, you can put it right here on your speaker one-sheet. The one-sheet should also explain what the value is to the audience in your presentations. What is it that they're going to learn, or how are you going to entertain them? It's going to hopefully give them a selection of programs, but if you're new to speaking, you might not have a selection. You might only have 1 program that you're going to offer, and that is fine. Just give a little bit more detail on what the program is all about. You want to give information on your book if it's already been published, and if it hasn't been published yet, you want to tell people that you're the author of the forthcoming book called blah, blah, blah. It can include testimonials from happy audience members who have seen the presentation in the past. And it's very important that you not include any information about your fees on this speaker one sheet. You don't want to tell people that your fee is $100 or your fee is $2,000. Never put fees on a one sheet, because that's a good reason for event planners to never call you, okay? Because they might think it's too expensive. You want them to pick up the phone and call you and talk price. And when somebody asks the question, what is your fee? You never quote a fee without asking the question, tell me exactly what you're looking for. Okay, I never quote a fee unless I know exactly what they want. Because if they want me to do, let's say, a webinar for their group, I'm going to suggest a follow-up webinar, which can mean a higher fee. And if I just came right out of the blue and said my fee is $500, they might think that was too expensive, but when they find out later that it includes a follow-up, they might be more inclined to hire me. So don't put any prices on your speaker one sheet. You also want to include that all-important contact information: name, shipping address, and if you're paranoid about putting your home address, use a P.O. box, a telephone number, email address, and a website. So those are the 10 important elements that go into your media kit. How long does all this take? Well, it can take several weeks or more, depending on how well you write, and depending too on how much of this information you have at your fingertips already, and it might be various places in your computer. You also have to build in time rewriting, because you're not going to nail it the first time around. You're going to want somebody to read this over for you and make some suggestions. And you also have to remember that in some cases, you're going to be working with a graphic artist. You're going to want somebody who does a nice job to lay out your speaker one sheet for you, and that might take as long as a week or two by the time they do revisions and you stand in line behind everybody else. But you don't have weeks to spend, and if somebody calls you next week and wants your author media kit, you don't have 4 weeks to dilly-dally putting one together. So that's where Joel and I come in. We have a special offer on a really cool package that Joe is going to tell you about.
Yeah, well, this whole situation of putting together a media kit is really a challenge for a lot of indie authors. Many people don't know this. For some of you on the call, I'm sure this is the first time you've heard of a lot of these pieces that Joan is talking about, but they really give your media kit a lot more power. So what we tried to do is come up with a way to cut through the confusion and all the research and all the different kinds of advice you find online, and to put into your hands a simple set of templates with the guidance you need from Joan, who, after all, is an expert on this stuff, that would help you make putting together your media kit fast, easy, and economical. Because, come on, we don't have thousands of dollars to go out hiring publicists and paying $200 or $400 to get a press release written. And believe me, I paid that money. I know exactly what it costs. So you might ask, what is the quick and easy media kit template for indie authors? Well, it's a collection of templates and a guidebook. There are 15 pre-formatted templates, and these come in Microsoft Word format. So if you have Microsoft Word, or you have a program that will open Microsoft Word files, these are going to work fine for you. And basically, we have every piece that Joan just walked through with some more already completely formatted exactly the way they're supposed to look. Not only that, we found that a lot of people said, hey, I got your instructions, but I'm not sure what the end result is supposed to look like. So just like in a cookbook where you want to see what the finished recipe is supposed to look like at the end, we've included samples of each one of these 15 items actually completed by a real author. So you can see exactly what the end result is supposed to be. I find that really helpful myself. We've also included templates, because we've mentioned that you have to have your author photos, your environmental photos, your book photos in there. And a lot of people get confused by, well, what resolution, what size. So we actually created some photo templates to take all the guesswork out of supplying your photos for your media kit as well. Now, the guidebook that comes with the 15 Microsoft Word templates is a PDF. You can print it out if you like. It prints out well. You can sit it on your desk next to you. And what you're going to see when you open the templates or the guide, for each item, you're going to see something like this. This is a press release for a nonfiction book, and this is the version that's in the guidebook. And you'll see that there's red text, and then there's black text. Well, the red text is all of Joan's instructions and tips on what you should be doing there. For instance, here she's telling you the headline of your press release is not the title of your book. And she goes on to explain and give you a tip about how to write a headline. So every template has this, and the way you complete a media kit for yourself is you simply take the red text out, and you do that by selecting it and then hitting delete, and you type in or copy in your own text. Now, a lot of people have also asked us, because we've been selling this media kit for over a year, and a lot of people ask, well, gee, do you have to be technical to do this? And the answer is no, you don't have to have any technical expertise. You do have to know how to copy and paste. If you know how to copy and paste, you've already got all the skills you need to use this media kit. Let's see our next slide, John. So what are the templates that are in the media kit? Let's just run through them very quickly so you know exactly what we're talking about. So first of all, we've got a template for your author bios, just like Joan was saying, and that comes with a sample completed one. And all of these come with samples. We've got a press release for fiction and a press release for nonfiction with Joan's instructions and sample completed releases. We've got the book synopsis with a sample. Number 4 is a sample chapter, and we're going to show you how that looks when you format it into our template. Number 5 is the sample interview questions. What's number 6, Joan? It's the book review excerpts. That's very handy to have in your media kit, because lots of reviewers are going to want to pull an excerpt from your book, and they just don't have time to find it themselves, so give them the juicy ones. Number 7 is your contact sheet. We've talked about that, how important that is. Number 8 is the photo templates that deal with your author photo, cover photo, and that stuff that I mentioned earlier. Number 9 is the cheat sheet, which is really clever, and I think Joan is so smart to include that in her media kits, because I know that the media people on the other end are really going to appreciate that. And number 10 is your Speaker One Sheet. Now, we've given you 2 versions. We actually created 2 templates for the Speaker One Sheet, and that's so if you have a speaking gig or you want to try and get speaking arrangements, it doesn't matter whether you've already published your book or you haven't published your book, you're still an author. So we've given you speaker sheets that work both ways. Now, we also realized that to do a really thorough job of this, that you are going to need more than just these basic templates. So we've got some more stuff for you. That includes, and this is really powerful, it's a sample letter to book reviewers asking for a book review. Instead of having to try and write this yourself and figure out what's going to work for you, we've included a sample on a template. We've also got a cover letter to bookstores, and obviously this would be going to bookstore buyers. If you have bookstores in your area, or specialty bookstores that would be interested in your book, you want to get in touch with those buyers, and you want to approach them the right way. This template, as a matter of fact, this cover template to bookstores, if you use this properly, this could be worth the price of this entire media kit template set. Just one hit on that, getting your book into the right bookstores, could be fantastic for you. We've got a sell sheet for national sales, and that's if you're looking to sell to national chains or non-bookstore people like Costco, where they sell a ton of books. We've got a sell sheet that will help you there. And we've also got a sell sheet for live events. So if you're speaking at the front of the room, you can then finish your talk, go to the back of the room, and use this as an order form to actually make cash sales at the event. Potentially, for some people who like to do speaking, this could be a huge revenue source. Okay, so what you're looking at is our single author bundle. This is what most people are going to need. This includes the entire media kit that I just outlined. It gives you the templates to create this entire media kit, every possible thing you need, you have in there. Plus it includes a bonus from Joan, her report on how to rewrite your author bio so it isn't boring. You know, almost every author I know needs that report. Now, usually we sell this product every day, all day on our bookdesigntemplates.com site, and it sells for $97. But because this is a live promotional event, we've cut the price to $67 just for this week. All week this week, the media kit templates are going to be on sale for $67. It's about a 30% savings, so that's really represents an incredible value. And we've also got some other offers for you because in talking about this, we realized that a lot of authors are new to this field and they need more support. You know, it's not just enough to give them the templates and the tips and Joan's guidance. So Joan has really generously put in a lot of other bonuses. So if you buy the program this week in our Plus edition, you're also going to get 3 guides, and that is 89 reasons to write a press release, because you can write press releases all the time, and you're going to get media attention from these press releases. And a lot of people don't realize that you don't need much of a reason to put out a press release. And Joan goes through 89 reasons. She's got a book review and book recommendation sites, 27 of them in a PDF. And Joan has also thrown in her book, How to Be a Kick-Butt Publicity Hound, which she reveals all of the stuff that she's learned over the years. Not only that, we've got some great video training. And I really want you to think about this because Joan's given you 3 bonuses that are just killers for getting media attention. First of all, she's going to teach you in a 75-minute video presentation how to write headlines. And guess what? The headline's the most important part of your blog post, the most important part of your article, the most important part of your press release. Because if you've got a boring headline, guess what? Nobody's going to read the rest of it. She also has 136 minutes. That's over 2-hour video seminar with Penny Sanseveri on how to sell books by the truckload on Amazon. That usually sells for $200, and believe me, it's worth every penny. Who doesn't want to sell more books on Amazon? And finally, the one I like the most is Joan's hour-and-a-half video on exactly how to use social media to find and connect with journalists, because that's the whole point. We want journalists, and they're the gatekeepers to big media. They're the ones who are going to make it possible for you to borrow their microphone and tell about your story to thousands or millions of readers. So we've also included that video. That's a $50 value. Now, if you add up all this stuff plus the cost of the product, what you're getting here in this promotion is $554 worth of stuff. And this week, it's on sale for $97. Now, personally, I think that's the best deal that we're offering here. It's just an incredible amount of training. If you spend a week going through this, you are going to be a PR and media kit ninja, really. And I can't tell you how much this is going to help your publishing program and help you reach your goals, because it's just going to help you get to more people. That's what it's all about. That's what we've got on offer. We like to run this promotion a couple of times a year because I really want authors to start paying attention to using media and publicity and public relations and press releases to get your story out. Now, I want to mention while we're here that if there are people out there who want to do like a side job or make some income on the side, or would love to put media kits together for other authors, we also offer our that whole kit and caboodle of goodness, all the programs, the training, the templates, under a commercial license. So that allows you to actually use them to write press releases and create media kits using our materials for other authors, and to charge them and make money doing it. The commercial license is also on sale this week for $197, and that is actually a $704 value if you added it all up. And these are not phony baloney prices, people. This is what this stuff is, that's what it sells for every day. It's just a special promotion, so I really want to make this available to as many people as possible. Now, the sale ends at midnight Pacific time this Friday. I put the URL for the sales page on the slide here. You can see it at the bottom, and perhaps we can type that into the chat window also so people can just click it. But if you go over to the sales page, you're going to find all the details on the offer, an explanation of everything that's in it. You're also going to see a video I made that's about 5 or 6 minutes long that shows me, and you can watch over my shoulder as I complete one of these templates. And I'll show you exactly how I copy and paste my stuff right into the template. It takes me about 5 minutes, no kidding. And I've completed one part of my author media kit. It's just that easy. And so I made that to show you exactly how easy it is. Now, sure, you're going to have to do the writing. Come on, we can't write your author bio for you, can we? But if you're willing to do that part and write your press release following Jones guidelines and the other pieces, you're going to have a media kit super fast. You're going to link to it on your site. You're going to make it available to anybody who's reviewing your books or wants to interview you or hire you as a speaker, and it's going to be fantastic. Now, I just told you that press releases sell for hundreds of dollars. I just hired someone a few weeks ago to see if they could write press releases for me, and they wanted $400 for every single press release they wrote. $400. Are you kidding me? I'm not saying they're not worth it. I'm not saying all I'm saying is I'm not going to pay that. So I think you should do yourself a favor. If you really want to get attention for your books, this is the way to do it. For a very, very low amount of money, starting at $67, you can put the power of the media to work for you. It's going to take you a little time to write this stuff, but you're not going to have to do any researching. You're not going to have to figure out how to format them. You're not going to have to create all these different pieces. All you're going to do is fill your information and you are ready to rock and roll. So I think this is a great deal. You know, we've offered this several times. We have sold hundreds and hundreds of these. And on the sales page at bookdesigntemplates.com/media kit, you'll see a bunch of testimonials from authors who bought the media kit, put it to use, and they're already getting results. They're getting interviews with local papers. They're getting book reviews. They're getting speaking gigs. So, you know, this is not rocket science. It really works. And I think Joan has done a fantastic job putting this product together with all her years and years of expertise. So that's what we've got on offer. I think it's really exciting. And I hope you'll go over and check out the sales page, because I think you're going to think it's pretty awesome too.
Joel, we should also add. I'm hearing an echo.
None here.
You don't hear an echo?
Nope.
Okay. I'm here if people want to email me questions while they get into this. And if they're stuck on something, send me an email and I'll answer your question.
Now, Joan, do you want to give people your email address, or should we put it in the answer?
No, I mean once they're working on the media kit, if they get stuck on something, they can email me and I can help them unstuck. Because I've gotten a lot of questions from people who have purchased this.
That's very generous, John. I think that's about the best product support you can imagine. You can actually call the creator and she'll help you out.
Yep, and my website is publicityhound.com. Just go on over there and email is at the bottom of every page.
So let's see if we have any questions or if Tracy's already answered them all.
We've got a couple of freebies we want to give away.
Okay, well, most of the people have stayed on the webinar, and I want to offer you a little surprise. We've decided that we really like people who stick around for the whole presentation. That really works, and that helps us out because it gives us a chance to actually tell our whole story. So what we're going to do right now is actually give away a $100 Amazon gift card. Does that sound good? And you don't even have to do anything. What we're going to do is we're going to scroll the list of attendees. So this is only the people who stayed on the call. And I want you to tell people this is really why it pays to stay on to hear the entire webinar. So I'm spinning the wheel right now, and pretty soon we're going to come up with a free $100 gift card for Nancy Bishop. Nancy, can you hear me? Type into the question box if you can. Nancy, you have just won a $100 Amazon gift card, and thanks for participating in the webinar. If people have questions, they should head over to the sales page at bookdesigntemplates.com/MediaKit. We explain the whole program there. Each piece is broken out and described. We've got a welcome video from Joan there. You've got my video you can watch to see how easy it is to do this. And there's also a bunch of video testimonials on there from authors who are already using the product. It's really a great thing. It's one of the best things we've done, and it's been incredibly popular. I could see why, because it just solves a ton of problems, eliminates weeks of research and frustration, and it's going to get you the results you want to get. So what's bad about that?
And do we have any questions, Joel? We can take a couple of questions, and then I've got a freebie I want to give away.
Okay. Everybody's congratulating Nancy. It's like a Marvel movie, yeah. Okay, thank you for buying. Several people. Okay, here's a question. Tara wants to know, if I already write business content, how is this kit good for me?
It's good for you because people who you want to share your content with can find all of your information in one tidy place at your website.
Yeah, and you know, I had this happen to me just recently, Joan, because I actually got an email from an acquisitions editor at a big New York publishing house, and they wanted to talk to me about publishing a book. I was pretty flattered, but they wanted to know all about me, and they started, you know, asking me all these questions. All I did was send them a link to my media kit. I said, I've got all the information you want. Here's the link to my media kit. I'm going to tell you exactly how I do it, Joan, because I don't know if you do it this way, but I have a page on my blog for the media kit, and I have each piece in the media kit with a link. So if you want interview questions, you could just hit that link and download the PDF with the interview questions. But if you want the whole thing, I've got all the pieces put into one zip file, and you can download the whole thing at once. And that's the one most people download. So there's a case right there. I mean, instead of me having to make up all that stuff or try to figure out or scratch my head about what to say, I already had my media kit ready to go.
Yep, I apologize for the echo. I can't stop the echo because I don't know what's causing it. But I will tell you the other thing you need to know is that people can cover you by going into your media kit and getting information from the kit at 3 a.m. while you're in bed. And they can be sharing it on the social media sites without even having to contact you.
Unmuted.
Okay, Joan, here's another one. Margie wants to know if there's somewhere where journalist contact details are available.
Not in the templates, no. And Joel, try muting yourself while I answer the question.
Okay, we're getting reports that the echo is gone.
Oh, I can still hear it. Okay, we can't possibly give contact information for journalists, nor would I want to, because a lot of the media lists that are out there that you can purchase that cost a lot of money, there's no guarantee that that contact information is even updated or relevant. You need to research on your own, and my best piece of advice is to just pick 5 journalists, okay, or just 3 journalists, or 3 journalists and bloggers and podcasters, and go out and track down that information on your own on how they can be contacted. And the one bonus that comes with the Plus edition on how to connect with journalists on the social media sites, that explains how to do exactly what you have asked on how to connect with these people on these sites. And, you know, I mean, they're right there waiting for you to find them. So don't use a big media list that has names of, 3,000 journalists, because you're going to be wasting your money, because a lot of those email addresses will have changed. Okay, Joel, if you want to unmute yourself. Let's see. Any other questions? Yeah, that's what's causing the echo.
Okay, somebody wanted to know, is it always online? Yes, it's always online. After Friday, it'll still be for sale, but the prices are going to be a lot higher. That's the only difference. Lots of people are congratulating Nancy.
Oh, good.
Will this work for children's book authors?
Absolutely. It'll work for any author.
Okay, how do you create a zip file? Okay, I knew somebody was going to ask that. I don't think that's within the realm of the webinar, but if you're on a Macintosh, you could just get all your files together, highlight them, and then right-click, and you'll see an option to compress all the files. That will create a zip file. Okay, Joan, here's another question. Should you have a single media kit, or should you have one for each book?
One for each book. But some of the, Joel, can you mute yourself again? Okay, you want one media kit for each book, but certain elements of the kit, for example, your author bio, your contact information, fun facts you didn't know about me, those are all things that you don't have to fiddle with from book to book. Those elements can stay the same from book to book. So it's not like you have to take that second media kit and create it from scratch. There are several pieces you're going to have to create from scratch, but the author bios can stay the same, and the contact information certainly can. Okay, let's see what other questions.
Okay, I'm going to have to unmute myself, and then I'll mute myself again. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I had a question here from Tim.
Yep.
It says, Joel, please explain the $197 commercial license. Are you saying you'll pay us to write the media kit content? No, Tim. What I was suggesting was that some people might want to buy the commercial license kit and then use it to write media kits for other authors. So if Tim buys it, Tim could write media kits for Sally, and Sally would pay Tim, and that would be fine with us if you buy the commercial license. Okay, Carrie wants to know if the media kit is available as an ebook. Carrie, the entire media kit is a digital product. When you buy it, you're going to get a downloaded file that includes the PDF guide as well as all of the templates in Microsoft Word format. So the whole thing is digital. There are no physical parts to this. You will not receive anything in the mail. Okay. Kara says you can do the same thing to zip a file on the PC. Yes, you will receive it all in a zip file. Here's a question, Joan, from Serena. She wants to know, should you have a hard copy version of your media kit as well as the online version?
It's not necessary that, can you mute yourself? It's not necessary, Serena, that you have a hard copy of your media kit. There might be a couple instances where you might need a hard copy, like if you're going to a trade show or something, but anymore, if you're going to a trade show, for example, and let's say that you want to have coffee with a journalist that you know is going to be there, and I would just take the media kit on a CD and just give them the CD. There are so few examples anymore where you have to have a hard copy. And also, if you are going to do a hard copy, don't spend a lot of money on it. You don't have to get gold embossed fancy folders or any of that. I would say don't even bother with the hard copy unless you absolutely need one. Jennifer has a question.
I got two more for you, Joan. A couple of people asked.
Jennifer has a question.
Yeah, she asked about video. Should you put video into it or a link to it?
You absolutely can put video links within your kit. You can do video links, Jennifer, within your press release. These are called they're called the social media press releases or multimedia press releases. Within a press release, you could link, for example, to a how-to video. From your release, you can also include an audio link in there if you don't have video. You can link to pretty much anything you want to, absolutely, but it's not mandatory.
Okay, I got another question about the difference between the $67 version and the $97 version. And the $67 version has the media kit templates plus Joan's guide for rewriting your boring author bio. That's what you get for $67. For $97, you get the same thing plus the other 5 bonuses. And that includes all of those hours of video training and Joan's special reports that we detailed. And this is explained in detail on the sales page. So check that out.
Okay, and we have a question from Robbie who wants to know how long each license lasts. Robbie, for as long as you want to use the media kit. The license is yours. You can use it for as long as you want to. Somebody wants to know where the link is for the commercial license. There's one link at the bottom of the slide here, bookdesigntemplates.com/media kit, and you will see all 3 offers on that page. It's only one link. You can see everything you need to know on that one page.
Okay, Joan, here's another one from Tracy. Is there a difference between an electronic press kit and a...
No, it's the same thing. Tracy, a lot of people ask that question. A press kit is the same thing as a media kit. You can use them interchangeably. Like a press release is the same thing as a news release. You can use those phrases interchangeably, but most people just call it media kit. Okay, we've got a question here from Anna. From Anna. Isn't a bio by links that she was just talking about a bit overwhelming for journalists? I have one, but it's so long I just can't see them dropping dead. Anna, you want 4 different sizes of bios in your media kit because some authors may think a 400 to 600 word bio is really overwhelming. They may want just a 50-word bio, and that's one of the 4 sizes of the author bios that we have a template for, and I show you exactly how to put it together. Okay, Reg wants to know, is there access to updates? No, because this stuff is evergreen, and unless there's a major change on the way authors need to do media kits, these templates are good for years. Okay, what's the best way to create a media kit for a book series? What I would do is I would include a press release for that particular book, and you want to do a book synopsis for that particular book. Okay, and you would want to do a national sell sheet for that particular book. In other words, you're going to mix and match parts of your, like if it's book 5 in a 6-part series, or if it's book 5 in an 8-part series, some of those sections of the media kit are going to stay the same from book to book. Katrina says, is there any particular thing that gets people's attention in the shorter bios? What type of thing should I focus on? Katrina, are you a fiction or a nonfiction author? For nonfiction authors, the one thing that you should concentrate on more than anything is how you help people, how the book will help people, or the area that you are an expert in, how you help people solve their problems. If it's fiction, I think I would concentrate on what the emotional draw of the book is. Because some people want a thriller that's going to keep them on the edge of their seats. And if that's what they're looking for, that's what your bio needs to tell them, the kind of books that you will write. Katrina asks, how will the Hans Christian Andersen book help people? The Hans Christian Andersen book doesn't necessarily help people. It's an emotional type of book, right? Katrina says she finds fiction easier than nonfiction. I think most authors find nonfiction a lot easier, but good. VL said she just bought the media kit, or he just bought the media kit. Great. VL, we hope you like it. If you've got any questions, send them my way. Barbara asks, do I send my complete media kit when asked, or does the interested party tell you what they want from the media kit? Okay. Every item in your media kit is available from your website. So if somebody calls you and says, can I see your entire media kit? You simply send them to the link at your website where they can then find all of the different elements that you've linked to. Joel has a great example at his site. If you go to Joel's website at thebookdesigner.com, or just do a search, Google search for Joel Friedlander Media Kit, you'll see his kit. And it's a great example of how he put his together. So you're really not sending them anything. You are sending them a link to where they can find it online. Now, if somebody writes and says, quick, I need a 100-word bio of you, I wouldn't even send them the link. I would go in, cut and paste it, and just send it to them in the email, or send them a link to your 4 sizes, whatever it is they need. However helpful you can make it for them, make it as helpful as you possibly can. Oh, Laura says, thank you for the webinar. Just bought the Plus edition. It will be a great help to me this month. Laura, it will be a great help to you in the years ahead. Okay, Joel, I don't think we gave away my freebie.
Yeah, we're getting to the end, John. Well, that's great. Let's do it.
Okay, a half an hour.
Now, do you want me to pick somebody to read?
Half an hour of consulting. Yep, with me. Consulting.
All right, I'm going to spin the dial, John. And the winner is Teddy Rose.
Okay, Teddy, you can see. I have your email address, Teddy. I will contact you. Okay.
All right, John. Well, let me say I'm sorry for the GoToWebinar audio problems with that echo, but it's been a great group of people on the webinar today. We had a lot of really good questions. As Joan said, you know, if you're like me and you think of the question you want to ask like a minute after the event's over, go over to Joan's website at publicityhound.com and you'll find her contact form. You can ask her any questions you want. If you buy the media kit, you get stuck somewhere, ask Joan. She's going to help you through it. And take the opportunity of this promotional pricing because it's really kind of an amazing value. And go over and check it out now at bookdesigntemplates.com/mediakit. I don't think you'll be disappointed. And all of our products are always 100% guaranteed. If you find for some reason that you just don't like it, you don't want it, you're not going to use it, just let us know and we will refund your money, no risk to you whatsoever. So there's no risk, and you've got a great package to help you get publicity for your book at an unbelievable price until Friday. So I want to thank everybody for coming on today to this live event. It's always great to have Joan on. She's just an unbelievable source of great tips and advice on getting publicity for your books and your products. I want to thank everyone for coming, and I'll see you all on the blog.
Thanks, everybody.